Hello folks, welcome to One Vannan Too Many Topics, and it is COVID-19 a 2021 review. Right, so in March 2020, of course before 2021, yes, we had COVID and lockdown rules. It was pretty much simple. Stay home, protect the NHS and save lives. What's so bloody difficult about that, I don't know. About maybe mid-April-ish 2020, before we go to 2021. We heard about the horrible way that a guy got murdered by the police in America. Quite rightly, we're incensed, we're enraged. It is pretty awful. And then, for some odd reason, this incited us to break current lockdown rules then and travel to places like London Hyde Park, Bristol, Taunton, Birmingham, Newcastle, Preston, all these places on a stay-at-home order. Yeah, I know. I suppose we really excel ourselves at doing the right thing. But anyway, one thing that came out of it was police were getting bottled, police were getting bricked, people were bricking each other. There's that guy pissing on that Keith Palmer statue. He actually ended up having a wee bit of time in bumhole buffet. But anyway, all these really insubordinate activities came out. And I can assure you something, the guy who died was a guy called George Floyd. If he was looking down, he would be fucking livid. He'd be raging. If I died at the hands of a police officer and everyone was running around battering each other with bricks and stuff like that, honestly I'd be haunting every single one of yous. Just take it as a wee bit of advice. But anyway, yeah, the violence and stuff got that bad, the actual cause BLM had to tweet and call out all these people perpetrating the violence and saying words similar to, "We know about your violence towards police officers. We do not condone it. This is not what BLM is. And if you're using our name BLM in your protest activities, including violence with police officers, we do not condone you doing this. We have nothing to do with you. It's a bad occasion when your behaviour is that bad, the original cause turns around and go, we know nothing of you." So, scoot through to 2021, January 5th in Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon turned up the lockdown to a near similar image as in March 2020, albeit we had a lot more liberties compared to then. And yeah, we had a rather unsavoury incident. It only happened a couple Fridays ago, and that was an incident with a young lady called Everard, right? And quite rightly again, this enraged the public, and it enraged us a bit more because it was one of our officers, one of our UK policing team, flashing his genitals at her. One day she makes a complaint, and then the next day after that, poof, dead. Of course they're going to be raging. In fact, policing in this country, right, if you think of Coca-Cola, the most premium Coca-Cola you could get, versus the stuff in Costco, 2 litres, and it costs 9 or 10 pence or something like it. And if you even one sniff from the Costco Cola would make you broke. It's that bad. I don't know if it's Coke or diesel or maybe a mixture of both. But anyway, right, our policing, we would like it to be as premium as possible. In actual fact, it comes as low down as that really extreme value nasty cola at a Costco. Another analogy, the police, right? We've got a railway ticket in our hand that says first class. That means the best of seats, maybe some gratuitous food, you know, the freebies, and we get standing room only. The police, in many ways, is a waste of taxpayers' money. They're not doing enough. Real-time policing, there's not enough being done. And there's not been enough being done by the police when they're vetting prospective police officers to be on the front line. You'd expect the police officers to be like squeaky clean CRB licence and squeaky clean references all across the board, but something failed here. Something failed, and it's not a singular thing. Do you mind that guy from West Midlands called Stinson Hunter? When he was doing his variety of shows called Paedophile Hunter, he had found quite a few West Mids police being active nonces. That's just a simple snapshot of what's going on here. And the Met Police, there's fucking sex deviants and flashers and murderers. The West Mids, there's pedos. What's in the next police force? What's happening up in Yorkshire? What's happening up in Cumbria? What's happening here, there and everywhere? Isle of Man police? Aye, I really do wonder. And yeah, I mean, we can slightly move on to the next bit I'm wanting to talk about, and the thing I want to talk about is the amount of people, again, like first part of lockdown, they raced to like parks in London, parks in Glasgow, parks in Edinburgh, parks even as far as Aberdeen, congregations of 5,000 plus, no social distancing, no masks, and in London, near Victoria, police were actually getting hurled fireworks and bottles. There's no right in that situation. What's happened with our Met cops? That's terrible, fucking deplorable. But to try and right wrong with two other wrongs, bottling police, attacking officers, getting physically violent with him, that's not solving anything. In fact, there's a fair generation now, because of a snowflake generation, right? One party puts up a status, another party disagrees with that status. That person that posted the status gets all twitchy and triggered and I'm offended, so they dial 999 all the fucking time, and they're wanting that 999 response, and they're wanting everything now kind of thing. If you're going to start bottling police officers and caution them out of heat with bricks, there's going to be less officers on the front line, there's going to be less responding, so that 999 response you will get won't be a 999 response, it will be a we'll try and get you in the next couple of hours, or we'll try and get you next day, or in some cases it could be as far as 3 days into the future before you can talk about your I'mOffended.com to a police officer. I mean, that, what I was saying, is also part of a conversation that I'm doing about what is 999 time. That'll be up sometime soon, but I think this was pretty fucking urgent to do. We've got to move on to another thing. Kelvin Grove Park. Kelvin Grove Park is a massive plethora of problems indeed. Right, and the most omnipresent problem is, the weather's getting better and everyone descending to Kelvin Grove Park in their tens of thousands, flinging bottles all over the place, smoking joints, screaming, people starting to fight with each other. That's always an inevitability when it comes to Kelvin Grove Park. On the first day of this fandango, the police had broke all the parties up without giving a fine. This time around, more police were out in force. This is a total sincere embarrassment. These are all people that are off, because of the lockdown and the furlough and all that stuff. And the thing is, they're disobeying Nicola Sturgeon's "Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives" message. In actual fact, that's even Boris's wee motto and all. Right, they are totally undermining Nicola's messages. Has Nicola not got enough on her plate right now? Just lump all of that shit on top. I mean, the thing is, if for every 150 to 200 people attending, there will be a silent carrier, and out of a group of 500, there will be about 3 silent carriers and 1 actively riddled, just desperate enough to get out of the house, absolutely fucking riddled. And that one person could riddle maybe 14, and that 14, you can see where the numbers go. It gets really crazy. So this behaviour is an abject failure, Glasgow. If you hear me, you performed an abject failure. I hope you're happy. You could all turn up at Kelvin Grove Park ganting for a swig of the Buckfast and meeting up with your pals. You come home, you start choking and you collapse as you're going up the stairs towards your bedroom. Well, you deserved it. If you're going to risk yourself in such a fashion, you deserve everything that comes next. It's not that hard. I mean, like, wearing a mask, you'd have to be extremely mentally displaced not to know how to wear a mask. You just pick up the mask by two elasticated sides, put it up to your lips and your nose, and then pull back and feel the elastic go behind your ears. As soon as you do that, job's a good one. But Glaswegians aren't very versed in how to put on a mask. It's a bit thick, but the mask can save lives. And might I say, if you're going to do something, I'm only going to say it once, I've not said it many times before, don't be tempted to drop your mask on the ground. You don't know what each side of the mask has. With other bacteria, as a colouring spray, you can actually see how much crap is on each side, but there hasn't been one made for COVID yet. But I tell you something, rest assured, when they things do actually become viable and you see what's on each side of the mask, you'll be fucking horrified. You'll be shiting yourselves. You'll be straight home before you get to Chris Colombo. And I get the idea, we're wanting to get a bit of sunshine, we're wanting to get, seeing our pals, but remember, April 26th isn't that far away. It's actually 1 month and 7 days, right? That's as of Friday the 19th of March. So, it's not that far away, it's just round the corner really. And I mean, we apart from the whole issues with, the previous protests about the American guy, right? We've actually been pretty damn good at this lockdown. Apart from the social distancing, Scotland's completely failed with that one. But over and above that, we've been pretty good in the presence of politicians that have been very glittery and very kind of double standards, and just, you've seen it for yourself. So in the presence of that, we've actually been quite good, quite firm on the matter. And I don't understand this last 5 weeks malarkey wherein which we've completely felt by the wayside. I'd say, see if this was a school grading for some practical assessment. March 20 to January 21 would be that would be a B. January 21 to current, where we're talking, D minus. The friggin' grade above a fail. We need to up our ante, buck up our ideas, and stop putting ourselves in vulnerability to risk getting fines off the police and getting the actual COVID and end up in an ICU ward. I tell you something, I've been in an ICU ward, right? It's not pretty. It's terrifying when you hear the patient beside you in a complete delirium, screaming and bawling his head off, hallucinating right out his mind through the delirium and tripping on his meds. If you want to have a wee trip round an ICU, you can actually get a tour around an ICU department. Show yourself what an ICU looks like and how devastating it can be. There was a show on Channel 3 this week that really drove it home how horrifying it is. One, being a nurse, being a doctor, being a patient, being a family member of a person who survived COVID, and being a family member of someone who died from COVID. This shit is serious. In the moment we start taking this serious, better things will be. And the thing is, this 26th of April, Nicola Sturgeon has penciled in as a fair majority of our freedoms will return, but if they don't respect and reverence irrelevant action, that 26th of April might not happen. And it's already showing up as a cause of concern because the R rate is higher up in Scotland. There are more people going into hospital for the COVID. Only slight difference between March 2020 and March 21 is a fair proportion of us have had the injection. Until we get a full proportion of the United Kingdom jabbed, this situation of going out into parks to get pissed and fingered leaves us a vulnerability of getting COVID. So it's only up to yourselves to do the right thing. It's hard to say no. It makes you unpopular to say no, but ultimately it needs to be done at this point. It's either say no or say ICU, as in intensive care unit. So either say no or say ICU. It's simple as. I'm a utility provider as what I do of my job, and we are known as essential service providers, and the amount of people that are walking about within 30 centimetres of each other, disobeying the 2 metre distance, not wearing a mask, sneezing into a hand and then waving a hand around like as if it's a cock. It's absolutely hideous. We need to get our ante and pick it up a smidge. We need to get our ideas bucked up, because if we don't do it now, we could be writing the last will testimony from an ICU ward. It's simple as that. Buck the ideas up, fuck the partying, party at some other time. In fact, we could probably get a fair proportion of partying done on April 26th when things release, and we know what we can do versus what we can't do under the new freedoms. So my closing statement now is stop acting like fucking idiots. Buck up your act. Save yourself and save beds being occupied in the hospital.